Oh, I hate that view. Well, since the whole world's on fire, I figured that would be a good intro for today's show.
I don't think I've ever seen the full video. I didn't realize that it like went out. Like I think the video I saw like stopped when she was running out the door yelling help. So it's even more amusing that it like goes out on its own. Like, you know, like just wait it out.
Like that's definitely the route to take. In the event that you're burning your house down, yell at all of the people that you're streaming to call 911, because you can't just, pick up your phone and turn off the stream and do it yourself. That would make too much sense, right?
I don't know, man. Is that just like a lack in our education department now? Like nobody teaches home ec anymore. They don't learn how to not put bacon grease under a faucet. Like,
do y'all have home ec classes?
Well, we do, but if you're in choir or band, you can't take it.
There you have it.
She was a flute girl, huh?
No, yeah. I'm a choir.
Not you.
Oh, well, yeah, probably.
You have to choose between band or home ec. You can't
do both.
Mm-hmm. Y'all missed that reference, huh?
No, I got it, but
okay.
I have a 12-year-old.
Well, I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell how old she was, and I figured.
Wasn't gonna elaborate.
Sorry, Mark would have missed it as well. So.
Yeah. See, nobody showed up. Like right before the show was about to start, nobody was here. So I told her, put a bra on. You're gonna be my co-host today, and she was freaking out.
What?
I had to find my headphones. My wife decided to clean, and of course, when she cleans, my stuff gets put away, and God knows where it goes. So I spent like 10 minutes looking for headphones.
White women,
but I'm here.
Right?
I'm here. I know.
Speaking of white women.
Oh my gosh.
I don't have time to waste on colonizers. She told me to go back to where I came from.
Your driving habits.
Do you see that?
Because we don't drive in Oregon. We're fucking kind and we make space.
Okay.
And as someone who's from here as well, I'm so tired of people driving like you just did.
All right, get on my face.
Constant.
Get on my face.
Admit you're fucking wrong, and then it's not a nice thing. Admit that you're driving.
Admit you're right. Admit you have a colonizer mindset.
It is not about
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Problem here. If you want things to change,
so it's on me. So it's on me. So it's on me. And don't even get in her face. No, do not get in her face.
Taking out.
No, not.
And oppression on you right now. Stay out. We are. What are we doing? If you want anything to change,
No, you and your colonizer mindset. Get out of my face. White lady. White lady.
I'm as angry as you
I can
are.
get out of my face because I'm done with this conversation. You fucking
I love that he's like.
on me. It's on you and your people. I'm not taking any fucking. I'm not taking any direction from a white lady.
Everyone needs to hear how angry you are, but it's not about this. It's not about what you want, about what just happened.
In my state. You're in my state.
You're not in my state.
Get out. You're breathing my air. You fucking don't give me like white tears in the face.
Yeah, he like.
You don't know.
He's really leaning into the colonizer thing. Like that's
That's the only thing he's got. You know?
What does this have to do with that?
So there's multiple things here. I mean.
You told me he told me to get back to where I came from. Where she white colonizer mindset. Come in. Oh, I don't care. What am I? What is she told me? She told me to come back to where I came from. Because I made a mistake.
You pulled in front of my in my lane.
Yeah, just keep getting around.
What did he do?
Apparently, he like swerved in front of her or something, or cut her off or something.
I couldn't understand. Something about my lane. So.
And I hope you know that you fucking hear up. It's not on me. It's not on me
acting in this moment not a good representative of the community you are. I didn't consent to that. Admit when you're wrong.
Right?
Okay.
So what does the back of her Jeep say? Or the back of her truck, whatever it is.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Hers?
Yeah, hers.
Interdependence.
All right. Well, that was what I didn't know. Couldn't read the rest of it. I love that video. There's like a couple things there. There's have you ever seen the Boondocks when they go on about the N-word moment?
Yes, but I mean that's like a common theme in the show. So
Well, it kind of
What's the
yeah, but
disgusting
they had like a whole episode on it when like Stinkmeaner and Grandpa went to fight it out because he like tripped on his like stepped on his new Nikes or something and got them dirty, and like white people can just put things down and walk away, and black people can't. They gotta there's this idea that you gotta, I don't know, maintain your beef or something. I don't know, but it's just like that's it, right? Like how many times did that guy get in his car? Just get in your car and drive away. Just shut the door and drive away, man. She's not worth your breath. Like just go, just leave. It's okay. It's over.
and it didn't seem like she was necessarily wrong, and there were even other people on the street
No.
who were like yelling at him. She wasn't telling you to go back to the reservation. She was telling you to get back in your car.
You don't know. I mean, she had a bunch of stickers on the back of that truck. She might have had like a no Indian sticker, a big teepee with a red X through it,
Let's see, that was a misunderstanding. The reason she had it was the Cleveland Indian mascot with the red X through it, saying that they needed to change the mascot, which apparently they did. I heard it was
they did.
I was listening to like Fox Sports Radio or something, and they said something about the Commanders and the White Sox were playing. I'm like, the fuck are the Commanders?
I think the Commanders. I thought the Commanders were the Redskins.
No, the Redskins are the Sentinels or something.
Jeez, man.
I don't know.
This is retarded.
We'll have to look it up. I'm pretty sure the Redskins became the Sentinels, and now I got to look it up.
I'm gonna
Katie,
go.
look it up for me. Washington football team name.
Okay.
And Cleveland baseball team name.
Cat and Wahoo. I remember that much. Yeah, it's the Washington Commanders, dickhead. It was the
Well, then what are
Washington
the
I don't know.
Commanders.
then what's Cleveland?
They're Commanders. What are the other?
They're both
Washington.
they're
Redskins
both
are
Commanders.
Washington.
They're both Commanders? Guardians. Cleveland's the Guardians. Because it had something to do with like the river or the lakes, I guess, like guarding the West or something. I don't know. I don't know what Ohio guards, but they're guarding something. So here's the other thing about that video, and this is kind of like, I don't know if you call this like a white pill, maybe, I don't know, but like white women are taking the brunt of a lot of bad press these days. Like everybody kind of hates white women, and
Rightly so.
and it's one of those things, like for a while, like the white man was the villain. Like, I mean, you couldn't get a job if you were a white man because it had to go to somebody else. Like you were second tier. And so now other people are starting to feel like, okay, this is what second tier. And it's like, if all the white people got together and said, we're not gonna be second tier anymore, I guess, we'd end up back on top, right? I was trying to go some alt-right thing there, and I just couldn't do it. But,
that is the natural order.
There we go. Natural order. No, but it's it's curious how that kind of proceeds. Of course, I mean, she could just be like one of those yoga professor or teachers or whatever, because she just seems like one of those ultra woke yoga. Does yoga with her goats and her dog. And
hey, now don't knock the goat yoga. We're gonna start our goat broga here in a few weeks whenever Dag fully recovers from COVID and is ready to put together a class.
He's got to wait till he gets that buckling from me, and then he'll have real goat yoga to work on.
Say, is he gonna lead the goat yoga, or is he just gonna like put on some yoga and then we're gonna yoga together like an online, like a web class or something?
I don't know. I imagine if he was trying some goat yoga, he would not be leading. He'd be kind of taking. But I don't know.
I don't know enough about yoga to lead, so maybe we need to like find somebody who does actually know something about yoga, and then they can lead, and we'll just participate.
That's Mark's job. Mark's got to find somebody.
Because he's young and knows
He's young enough. He can go to like a yoga studio and like find it. We're all attached. We can't go to a yoga studio looking to pick up chicks. He can.
I mean, we're not looking to pick up chicks in that way, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Well, I mean, you don't have to, but that's your in.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Give her a little D, and then she does the yoga.
Well, talking about just gonna sidestep away from that. Talking about commanders and guardians and sentinels and whatever other masculine things you want to talk about. Did you see this? Army cuts force size amid unprecedented battle for recruits. I wonder what could have brought about a struggle to find recruits to join the Army.
I don't know, man. What's your take on that?
All right, I'm gonna drop this out while we discuss it. So they never really gave us good numbers, but I know there were not an insignificant number of people in the military who either resigned or retired early or were dishonorably discharged for refusing to get the vaccines whenever the COVID vaccine became mandatory for the military. They never really gave us good numbers on that, but it didn't seem like it was insignificant, the number of people doing that. And also when you look at it and you think about, okay, who are the average recruits that are going to the Army, especially like the Army and the Marines. Like Navy and Air Force, maybe a little bit different because they have a slightly higher aptitude requirement. Yeah. But when you're looking at Marines and Army, those tend to be people who are a little more
low IQ. Are you calling Republicans low IQ?
No, I'm not. I'm trying to find a way
calling
to not
Southerners
say that
low
because
IQ?
I know that's not the case. But people who generally will join the Army and the Marines are going to be more red staters. They're going to be less inclined towards the vaccine. A lot of them will join the military because they just don't know what else to do, or they don't really have anything else to do. But if it comes down to it, that it's like you either take this vaccine to join the military, or you have to go find something else. Most of them know somebody who's in a trade and will can get them into a trade school. And it's not like those are exceptionally expensive or hard to get into. There are the kind of the luster of joining the military is gone. I mean, you've seen pulling out of Afghanistan and the clumsy way that was done. Biden as commander in chief is just not something that's instilling a whole lot of confidence in people who are looking at the military itself. Just the general way that the military has been run, where most of what you see coming out of the military is a lot of woke propagandist type of bullshit that most of these people who would be potential recruits just don't have any interest in that. So yeah, I mean, they are constantly pushing. They're constantly pushing in that direction, and like you have to know your base. You have to know your audience, right? Like that was the thing that Trump was so good at, was like all the leftist media like went nuts because he went to Alabama and talked about God, football, and USA, and it was like that he's speaking to his base. Like he knows who he's talking to. If you're going to run a recruitment campaign, but you're doing all of the things that go counter to what the base of your recruits actually want and believe in, you're going to fuck it up. Like, obviously, it's not rocket science.
Fair enough. I think, that's I think, I don't know.
Like what Trey is saying here. Like, that's what I was trying to find.
I know. Yeah, I know. I wasn't like ripping. I understand there's definitely different types of IQ, but I don't know. With it, I think that's part of it. I wonder too how much is like people like just resenting like American military actions in general, right? Whether it was, being mired in Afghanistan for 20 some odd years, whether it's, picking a fight with Russia through Ukraine, or watching what happens in Libya after we leave and creating, open air slave markets or whatever it may be. It hasn't been a jolly time in the last 2 decades for US military interventions. And I kind of wonder if any of that is starting to play out. These are kids that I guess they were probably born after 9/11, right? Or born thereabouts. And they've been living in a constant state of war. And it's like, well, this is stupid, right? Why are we still doing this stupid stuff? And we're not getting
kids
anywhere.
turning 18 this year were born in 2004. So
that's after 9/11, right?
Yeah, no.
My low IQ doesn't let me do math.
You can just admit that it's your age and you're forgetting shit.
Well, that too. My hearing is going, man. I sit in a loud room and there's like background noises. I can't hear you. I can see your lips moving. I hear you mumbling, but I can't understand a damn thing you're saying.
I keep losing my glasses, like all over the house. I'm farsighted, so I take my glasses off when I'm reading because I don't like having my glasses on when I'm like reading something up close. So then I'll take my glasses off and I'll set them down and I'll be reading, and then I'll get up and I'll walk around and I'll do other things, and then I forget where I put my glasses down. The other day I was getting ready for work, and I change shirts when I get to work. I put my work shirt. I drive to work in just a regular t-shirt, and then when I get to work, I put my work shirt on. And so
you like stripping down at the workplace.
Yeah.
Like, so like a man.
I have my glasses on. And
do they have a cord on the back?
No, it's just regular.
You got to get one. So
anyway, I have my glasses on, and if I have them like on the front of my face, when I take my shirt off, it'll pull them off, and I just set them up on top of my head while I changed my shirt, and then I sat in my truck for a minute and was listening to the radio. And I was getting ready to walk in, and I was like, "Where did I put my glasses?" And I'm like looking all over my truck. I can't figure out where my damn glasses are. And then I remembered they were on top of my head.
Jesus. That's like Boomer 101, brother.
Oh, man. My dad, one time, we were sitting in the living room, and he was like frantic, looking everywhere. He had 2 pair of reading glasses. And he was like, I can't find my... I was like, what's the problem? Like, you clearly look disheveled. What's going on? He's like, I can't find my reading glasses. I said, which pair? He's like, either one of them. I've lost both of them. I said, well, they're both on top of your head.
So do you need reading glasses to read Reader's Digest, or is that like big text enough for you?
I'm
or TV Guide. Which one are you?
I guess I'm nearsighted. I can see up close. I can't see far away. I don't need glasses to read. I need glasses to see, the shit that's 100 yards away.
You don't want to see that stuff.
Well, I hunt, so sometimes it's necessary.
Yeah, it's big, brown, and it moves, dude. It's
That could be anything, though.
Yeah. I gotta get glasses myself, man. I can't. I stand at one end of Home Depot, and I can see like 3 lanes down. And after that,
on the next episode of The Morning After, road trip with Clyde to get hearing aids and glasses.
The worst is when you're driving, you're going like 80 miles an hour, and there goes your exit sign. You're like, what does that say? And by the time you can read it, it's like too quick to slow down. Or you cause an accident. Speaking of that, dude, do you guys have one of those stupid laws where you gotta, like, if there's a cop pulls somebody over, you gotta get out of the lane? Like if they pulled somebody over on the shoulder on the highway and it's a 2-lane road, you gotta move out of the inside lane.
I'm not aware that that's a law. I just thought people did it as a common courtesy.
I think it's a law in place. And I feel like I remember in New York, I was driving through Virginia, and we're going like 80 miles an hour. And it's 2 lanes. A cop has somebody pulled over. Dude, it came to a dead freaking stop so people could move over for this asshole. I was like, are you like, you're going to, I almost hit the guy in front of me. The guy behind me almost hit me. Like, it's like, this is ridiculous. Like, go around the other side. Don't pull him over. Everybody's doing 80 right now. Everybody's speeding. Like, piss off. It made me so angry. Now I have to calm down again.
Calm down. Yeah. Here. Well, let's well, speaking of cops, we'll talk about something that'll get you calm down a little bit. Let's see.
Are you gonna restore my Twitter account for me?
You
Give
know,
me your
if I
phone
could,
number.
I would. I keep offering.
You just
that
got to give me your phone number.
I keep offering that you can use one of my burner accounts. Like, I will give you the login information for 2 of them. You can have them both, huh? Then you've got more backups.
Yeah, but it's just, then it just gets suspended or put on hold for eternity again.
Well, you know, if you would quit
Stop telling people to put their dick in a pencil sharpener.
quit telling people to kill themselves, quit telling people to put their dick in a pencil sharpener, quit calling people retards. You have to, you know, you have to use creative ways of saying it without actually just spelling out.
But that's the thing, like when it's friendly and it's someone you know, and they want to be a niche internet celebrity, and you tell them that, like, they understand it's a joke and they know, and then some jackwagon elsewhere decides that they're going to report you. Makes me angry again, almost as angry as AOC's face. But
I'm currently serving a 7-day ban or a 7-day suspension on Facebook because somebody posted the picture from the 2021 World Economic Forum that had like all of the world leaders standing there together, and it had the X's over the ones who have resigned or like Abe was assassinated. There's only like 4 or 5 left. So anyway, somebody had commented on that picture, said, "Is this like the Marry Fuck Kill version of the WEF leaders?" And I said, "Marry Merkel, kill Biden, fuck Trudeau." And that got me a 7-day suspension on Facebook for inciting violence.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Like, there is no sense of humor allowed on the internet anymore.
No.
But
no,
this was
Will Smith can get away with it. Steven can get away with it. Shit, anyway.
But this was pretty humorous. AOC, Ilhan Omar, and 15 other Democrats arrested near the Supreme Court during abortion rights protest. Let's see. Do they have the pictures on here? It's pretty impressive to watch them.
Pretty gruesome.
Escorting. Here we go.
Your beloved senators and politicians put in handcuffs and zip ties and everything January 6th couldn't do.
Neither of those things actually happened. There were no handcuffs. There were no zip ties. AOC is walking with her. Let's see if I can find a good picture of it.
I heard this. I mean, you gotta know it's all staged, but I heard that it was like really bad.
Oh man, like AOC is walking with her hands behind her back, pretending that she's been handcuffed here. But if you look at it from every other angle, she's clearly just got her hands together like this. Like, the cop isn't even holding her hands together. She's walking with her hands together behind her back like that. And then people are yelling and she's reaching out from behind her back to wave at them as she's pretending to be handcuffed. Like, it's political theater at its grandest.
Do you think she enjoys the like cops and bad guys role play?
Oh, absolutely. I would be willing to bet she makes Mark put on a police uniform.
Yeah.
Like, on the rig.
I can see it. I mean, you know.
That's why he never opens his closet whenever he's like on the show. He always makes sure to keep that closet door like firmly shut because he doesn't want us to see all the different police officer uniforms.
Some people have shoe hangers on their closet doors. He's got like, you know, masks and costumes, and
he's probably got like city cop, state police, sheriff, military police. I'm sure he's got all the uniforms.
Israeli police. Likes to go beat on some Palestinian kids and pretend. You know?
Definitely. That's probably the one that she asked him to use the most frequently.
Like what was it? Just like, what were they protesting? I get it was like Roe v. Wade or something like that, but like what were they like doing? Where was it? Was it in DC?
Yeah, it was in front of the Supreme Court. Let's see. They said there is no democracy if women do not have control over their own bodies and decisions about their own health, including reproductive care.
Why is abortion considered reproductive health? Like where I've yet to make that connection. I've yet to have anybody like explain it in a way that makes sense. Like,
well, and they've they have pretty thoroughly abandoned the term pro-choice and have changed it to reproductive health. Like you don't hear official narrative pushers actually talking about pro-choice anymore. It's women's reproductive health. It's they're even dropping the women's reproductive health and just making it reproductive health, because woman
it's got to be inclusive. I mean,
right,
Yeah,
woman's a
birth
dirty
order,
word
you
as well. Did you see the thing a couple weeks ago of like it was a trans woman that was trying to figure out how they could talk or trying to find a doctor that they could talk to about abortion rights and reproductive health? It's like you still have a live swinging dick between your legs. You don't need to talk to a doctor about your abortion options. Like I don't understand what it's for real mental illness at this point. Like that's all you can. Which I've said this
why?
times, and this probably could be banned. It is mental illness, which is why so many of them kill themselves. It's
and like I don't really care like what you do. If you want to do that on your own and I don't have to pay for it, and it's you keep it to yourself in the sense of like you're not trying to indoctrinate people around you and whatever. I don't really care. But like if schizophrenia is like in the DSM, right? If multiple personalities is a problem, like, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem like a far stretch to say that that's kind of in that realm of stuff, right? I mean, thinking you're somebody else, like, I don't know. Dag, you missed some crazy boomer talk about glasses, brother.
I was saying when I dipped out a little early on Monday and we were talking about abortion. I dip in today a little late on Wednesday. It's still going on. It's like, oh, geez.
Well, it's because of AOC and Ilhan Omar and all of them. And like I said in the show description that nobody reads, you can tell that the whole thing was staged, because if it wasn't, they absolutely would have been shot. The police, the only thing that the police like shooting more than dogs is people of color. So, obviously.
Ilhan's just there because she needs to make sure that, like, if her brother gets her pregnant, she can get that taken care of. That's the only reason she's there. She doesn't care.
Yeah, I need to.
How do Muslims feel about abortion?
That's what I was about to say.
I don't stonable, like thrown off.
I don't think that that's something that's particularly smiled upon in the Islamic community. I don't think that they're very pro-abortion. I would have to go back and do a little bit. It's because it's been, I don't know, the last time I read the Quran and really got into the Islamic faith and was really looking heavily at that stuff was like 2018. So
you got to be careful saying that you're like looking into that, because that'll get you on a list you're probably not on.
All right, so I kind of go in waves, and I'll do like the different Christian denominations and like the variations of Christianity, and then I like to look at Islam, Taoism, Buddhism, Shintoism, some of the different Eastern religions, and then I haven't really gotten big into like the ancient South American or African or some of the more modern African religions. Like I don't know. I should spend more time on those, but I to this point haven't. But like I really like looking at that stuff, and I did have somebody that told me, they're like, "Why would you read all that stuff? Aren't you worried it's gonna make you question your faith?" I was like, "That's kind of the point. If my faith is so weak and shaky that by looking at something else it's gonna cause me to lose my faith, then I had a pretty shitty faith to begin with, and all of my studies have only strengthened my beliefs and stuff and helped me like expand on it and have a better understanding of why I believe the things I believe." But yeah, it's been some years. I need to get back and look at some of that stuff. And there is this that's happening in all faiths, really, in Christianity, in Islam, this new woke sect that is becoming the kind of mainstream, that it's it's the vocal minority that you hear the most about, even though they really don't represent the faith itself. They're the ones who you would think represent it because they are the loudest. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Sorry, Cloud ran off, so it's just me and you, Dak, and you're not the religious type, so
he did run off. Yeah, I'm way too sober to talk about like religion, but I mean it's not a conversation we get having. I'm just really got to catch me in a mood. So what's going on today?
Well,
I'm late.
You're good. As Trey had pointed out, what they were doing, they were protesting the Supreme Court. So that actually brings us to a good little segue into this little headline. Ted Cruz says marriage equality, like abortion, should be left to the states. We've talked about this before. It looks like, oh, thank you, dear. You're the best daughter ever. It looks like this could actually be possibly coming to a head. Like we talked about, that after the overturning of Roe versus Wade, that there was a potential that they could be coming after Oberfeld next, or whatever the case was, and overturn gay marriage and put that back to the states, which is similar to Roe versus Wade and abortion. Prior to Roe versus Wade, it was a states' right issue. It's the same for the gay marriage thing. In 2015, whenever that case was decided, that made it a national thing based on a Supreme Court decision. But before that, it had been a states' right thing. And so right now, Cruz says that should be left to the states, as similar to overturning of Roe and abortion. Where'd it go? The House is trying to push through a bill to codify gay marriage universally. It got large opposition from the right, just because probably. Yeah. And it's going to go to the Senate. It's not going to make it through the Senate, most likely. I don't see it getting through the Senate, just because it's they're not going to be able to overturn the filibuster, so it's not going to get through.
I mean, on the list of like things that are like none of government's fucking business, in my opinion, is like marriage, like this kind of shit, right? But like, so it's like I don't like care. Like, I mean, like people should get fucking married. Like, I don't give a shit. But like, I just can't find an argument for why this is supposed to be a federal fucking hoopla. Stupid.
I agree. It's an election year, right? And you've already overturned Roe v. Wade, and like we got to stick
marriage
to this.
And abortion is the only things they got.
Look at these crazy alt-righters out there. They're gonna, make being black illegal soon.
I mean, we talked about that. We talked about that on the show the other day. All right, so go.
No, it's I think I said it before. I think it's more of like the religious thing, right? Like if you call it marriage is man, woman, and that's like defined by like, the church. If you want to create some other thing that civil union, whatever you want to do, and you want to go through the state to do that, so you get some sort of tax break, like that's fine. You shouldn't get a tax break because you're married. If you want to go do it through the state, that's fine. Marriage is something that's never had to do with the state. It's not.
Just let people visit their loved ones in the hospital. If it's like that's like half of it.
Yeah. I didn't think about
like
that.
My wife could, when I had my surgery, because we're not technically officially married, she couldn't come see me as if she was my wife, even though I said, hey,
that's insane.
Treat her as such. And they go, no, we can treat your mom that way, but not her. I think it's fucking retarded,
Yeah.
So like that's the only even thing that I'm like, well,
Yeah, and that's just more state getting involved, right? I guarantee you that's because like the hospital doesn't want to get sued, and there's certain rules that are put in place by federal and state control over the HMOs and stuff. I
Mhm.
can't think of the word. The way they're dictated.
Well, like
Hold-
Trey
hold
says,
ads.
if you look at the world through the incentive structures, then understanding these things becomes much
Oh
easier
yeah.
to see why they do what they do. Like it's all about the incentives and the way the government and the state specifically can manipulate what you do and why you do it.
Yep. And all those lawyers' fees when you go get divorced and everything.
Yeah. Because otherwise, yeah, what is just now? Some people are like, uppity, and they're like, oh, we just, we want to have the same terms and shit. I could give a fuck less, like,
Yeah.
I mean, because I think they probably like civil union, like what gay people used to do before gay marriage. Like we were looking into doing that, like how can we get sort of the same rights without all the fucking other bullshit,
I think I don't know if we did that before we got married. I think we were going to, and then it was just like, okay, whatever. And then we had Justice of the Peace come by, and kid was sleeping upstairs, and it was just us and the dog barking, laughing through our vows, and the guy was not impressed. But I was like, hey,
Are you
we're here.
ordained?
Am I? No,
Yeah.
I should be.
Yeah, I think it's easy to do. I was thinking about doing it. Because
Be my side hustle.
Clyde
Yeah,
gets
man.
ordained, and then we'll do an official ceremony for Dag and his wife on the show. We'll marry them
Ooh.
legally. You got me and Mark as your witnesses. It's all like we got this. We can make a big thing of it.
Hell yeah, Mark can be my maid of honor. You can be my best man. It'll be a whole thing. It'll be great. I'd have Clyde marry us. Yeah, that'd be sweet. She'd probably be down with it.
Oh Lord.
Smash a watermelon with a sledgehammer to officiate when it's over.
That's
Yes.
a Gallagher joke. If you didn't get it, Gallagher has a mustache and wears funny hats and smashes watermelons with hammers. Yeah.
Oh fuck.
She's a little young
Have
for
you
that.
guys said that before? Somebody else said that once upon a time. That looked like
We've-
Gallagher.
I think
I'm not
we've
sure if
said
it was
it in
you
the-
guys or somebody else. I've
We
got it
said
like
it in the
multiple
group
times
chat. I don't
before.
think we've actually said it on air.
The first time I heard it was Nikki made a joke like that when I
Okay.
came on an episode
Alright.
of y'all. And he said, "You look shockingly like Gallagher," and I almost lost my shit. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, do what I do. Gotta get through life one way or another.
Well, the
Yeah.
nice thing about watermelons is when it's so hot like this, you just, sink your teeth into a nice juicy watermelon to cool down. And speaking of the extreme heat, we are going into full-on climate crisis because Joe Manchin pulls the plug on climate and tax talks, shrinking the domestic plan. This happened last week, but we didn't cover it on Monday because I had like 17 different topics and we only made it through 14 of them, and this was one of the leftovers.
Who cares? I mean, not your like all the hard work you do, but I mean, like, who cares about the climate stuff now? Like, I saw something the other day that was talking about how I don't know. Basically, like the climate has not really changed. The average temperature really hasn't done too much different over the long haul.
Dad can't see it. Erica said she's on board.
Oh,
Clyde, get yourself ordained. We're doing this.
Yeah, I'll look into it.
has there been a podcast wedding before? There has to have been.
Oh,
I don't know about in Are we
This-
going to be the first Liberty podcast wedding?
the first live stream wedding.
There we go.
Now we got to plan it. Like we got to really go all in for it. I'll wear like a my vest and a tie and look nice. Do my
I
hair.
will. Yeah.
Make
do
her
your
wear a
hair.
dress.
I don't like wearing dresses.
Never mind. She'll wear a suit and tie too.
Mm.
So Manchin pulled the plug on the climate talks, which I think we did talk about his opposition to the climate legislation because he and Biden were in discussions, I don't know, early last week. And
Is he West Virginia? He's
Yes.
West Virginia, right? Okay.
Yeah, so he has a certain incentive. Plus, like his big thing through all of this, like since Biden took office, he has been opposed to a lot of the spending bills and stuff that the Biden administration has been proposing. And his big thing is we're 30 trillion in debt. Inflation is going through the roof. We cannot be spending more money on dumb shit. And so like that's been his
Are you calling Ukrainians dumb?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
I want to get that on the record.
have you seen some of the we'll have to talk about it on Friday. There's a Ukrainian born Republican who initially had been very supportive of supporting the war in Ukraine and trying to help Ukraine fight Russia, and she has since like completely turned. She's like called out all of the horrible things and the like completely shady, backhanded shit that the Ukrainian administration, that Zelensky's administration is doing, and how they're wasting all this money and not actually supporting their people and not actually supporting their military. And like she went fucking scorched earth, and like and you can see her giving her speech, and like all the other like pro-war Republicans standing on stage with her are all just like, yikes, this is not what she was supposed to say.
Oh, good.
Let people know your next move.
Yeah. So yeah, as Trey alludes to here, we're gonna get some climate orders coming from Joe Biden today. He's going to be, let's see if I can pull it up. Biden preparing executive action on climate change after Manchin sinks legislative approach.
Going to declare climate change less. I don't know. Some fucking executive action.
And you know what? You're going to have millions of morons cheering this on, like, hooray for dictators. Like, you know, it just, just wait for the shoe to drop, you know, wait for, you know, DeSantis or Trump or whoever to get in office, and, you know, they start doing the same thing, but with their agenda. It's like, you know, be crying the whole day through. And how do people not like get that by now? This is a two-way street. The pendulum swings, and you know, the next guy's going to be worse than the last guy in terms of, you know, dictatorial
Edicts.
You know, edicts. That's the word. There you go. Thank you. My brain doesn't work in the morning.
I mean, it's really like, thank God for internet and this kind of shit, because like back in the day before internet, right, it was like, oh, they said some shit on the news and it was a lie, but by next year you forgot about it. So when they're bragging about saving 14 cents on your 4th of July cookout, you know what I mean? Everybody forgets about it by next year. But now anybody could just put up the graphic of last year and then the graphic of 4th of July this year and be like, look, see how fucking stupid they are and how much they lie to you and this and that and things that were kind of hard to lay out for people before. So yeah, it is really just fucking shocking that people still buy this shit.
Like Trey's saying here, there was a YouTuber that was saying that after the COVID crisis, it'll turn into a climate crisis, and like that's one of those things that I think a bunch of us had kind of been hinting at and pointing to. You couldn't say it too loud because they would, or too directly because they would take you down for saying that. It was like as soon as people started really saying that and hitting on it, and then they were getting videos taken down for saying it. It's like, okay, that like you gave away the game. We already know where you're going next. Like, I do think there were a lot of people like Trey that just didn't think that there was any way that they would actually like make that leap. Like, what's the logical? How do you logically make that leap? And it seems like it's, you know, so out there, but that's the mistake that we make when we're looking at
out there, though.
Actions. And yes, right, it's not out there for one, or it's not that far out there for when you consider what they do. But also, like we try to logically and rationally explain stuff. The government does not require logic or rationale for anything that they do. Like it's if it serves their purpose, then they do it, and that's the logic behind it. There's no bigger thing to it. So let's see. The president made clear that if the Senate doesn't act to tackle the climate crisis and strengthen our domestic clean energy industry, he will. We are considering all options, and no decision has been made. A national emergency declaration would give the Biden administration broader latitude to take action to use government resources to tackle climate-related issues, including funding, mitigation efforts, and strengthening regulations. So, like, what's any of that going to accomplish? That only pushes us further in the direction that they've already been pushing, that is clearly not working, that is the entire reason that we have all of these huge energy shortages, that we are having blackouts across large portions of the country, that the energy grid is currently being taxed to the max and failing in a lot of places. Like, all of this clean energy initiative is the reason that we're seeing the problems that we're seeing right now. Did we do it on here, or did I do an episode of my show where I went into what they've been doing over the past like 15 years of shuttering perfectly functional, good coal, nuclear, and natural gas-based energy plants, and replacing them with solar and wind that are now failing because they can't meet the demand? And like, I mean, if you look at, was it Germany or
yeah, Germany went
Germany,
hard, and they're
having to fire back up old coal plants that they shut down because they can't match energy demand with the new bullshit that they're running. Like, it's ridiculous.
And one of the big things with that too is the what was I going to say? I don't even know. I had something to say.
You and this morning thing are really not getting along today.
I don't. Yeah. I don't know. Oh, the regulations on it though, right? Like, there was one of the biggest exporters of natural gas, I think, was in Louisiana, maybe in Texas, because in order to ship it, it has to go through a lot, right? You got to condense it down so it can be a liquid to ship. And there was a fire someplace, and like, they're trying to get it back online, and they can't because of a lot of it's because of the regulations involved. And it's like, this is on purpose, guys. Like, if they really cared about, getting people's lives back to normal, you'd cut back on some of those regulatory, things that are a little above and beyond, that don't really matter. They're not really going to make anybody safer. Like, it just, and they don't, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares. And they just tightening the screws, and we're getting screwed every day, a little harder.
So this
and the oil, right? He released all the oil from the strategic reserves there.
We talked about that last week,
you?
I think. He released all that oil from their strategic reserves, then turned around and sold like a few million barrels to a Chinese company that Hunter is invested in. He also sold a bunch of it to Europe, to a bunch of European countries that were offering to pay more because they can't get theirs right now because they refuse to pay Russia in rubles, and they've got their all of their bans and stuff against Russia. So now they're like feeling the crunch. So like, yeah, he released all these millions of barrels that are supposed to help alleviate the problem here, and instead the administration turned around and sold them all overseas. Like, thanks, fuck us for $1.
And the other part of that, right? Like, the deeper, I think the second layer there is like, these are reserves, right? These are for times when it's hard, whatever, like, I don't know, when there's hurricanes and crap. The idea is that those will be replenished, right? That those barrels will get replenished through more pumping of oil. What's the word? More mining, more extraction, drilling. That's not happening. We're limiting drilling, and now you're getting rid of your strategic reserves. Like, in what kind of retarded world does that like make any sense? It's going to catch up again. It's just like everything else the government does. It kick can down the road, and like, there's going to come a point when you're going to really need that, and it's not there because you didn't fill it back up. And I think that's the more concerning part for me, is like, man, we're not looking 2 steps down the road.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like Trey says, the barrels won't be replenished. They're limiting the leases. There's no new refineries. Yeah. No new refineries have been built in. I don't like, what's the most recent refinery that was built was like 30 years ago. I think it was in
I
like
have no idea.
1994 was the last time, was the most recent refinery that was built. It might even be older than that. Like, I mean, it's a deliberate effort to wreck our energy supply. And like, have you seen all the stuff that's been going around about these wind turbines? Like the amount of oil and everything that's required to keep them functional and running, and how often that has to be changed out, and like all of the incredibly detrimental to the environment mining that has to be done to make the parts to build these things. Like,
And then what you know what happens when they break and they're not working anymore? They just leave them there. You ever seen a solar field that has just been forgotten about?
Yeah.
It's awful. They're horrible for the environment. How many
Well,
birds
those solar
do these
fields-
things kill? How many you know, the wind turbines, you get birds, and how much you know, habitat is destroyed for this stuff? And it's like, you know, what's the trade-off here, guys?
Right, like those
where's
solar
the
fields
environmentalists now? Like,
those solar fields create a huge amount of environmental waste. And so then when they're shuttered and they are no longer functional, then now you've got, not only do you have all of this farmland or otherwise previously useful land that's now covered in all this solar bullshit. If you took all that down, it's still not usable because of all the waste that those things generate. Like, we literally live a half a mile from an old coal mine. After they get done mining, they backfill the whole thing, and now it's farmland. Like, it's all farmland. So like, you can act like there's some huge environmental impact. There's not. After they get done with it, they backfill the whole thing, and then they turn it back into farmland. It's like that. Where's this like huge negative environmental impact that's coming from these coal mines? Like, yeah, okay, you're mining stuff out, but that only lasts so long. And once the mine is closed, then they backfill it. It goes back to nature. Like, when one of these solar fields is shuttered and no longer useful, now you just have a giant, basically a giant
open air landfill.
Yeah, I mean, it's a poison dump. You can't do anything with it.
I don't. With solar, right? You have these black panels covering everything, absorbing like the sun's rays and stuff. What does that do for the climate in terms of temperature and everything else? Because normally, like, when those like rays be radiated back and they kind of dissipate heat, like when you make, aren't they essentially like a heat sink? Like, doesn't all the heat just kind of like stay there like you do in a city? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see like a topographical map of like inner cities with lots of blacktop, and then look at like a solar field and see what the thermal map looks like for that. Because I'm sure it's similar. Like, I'm sure it's ridiculously high heat levels.
Yeah,
I mean, that only makes sense.
That's always been like one of those things I keep thinking in the back of my head. Like, what is that doing to our global temperature now that you're retaining all this heat in one place? And it's, you know, is that having any effect, a noticeable effect? I don't know. And cities too. We should just burn them all down, right? Solar fields and cities. Tell Putin we know where to put those nukes.
Well, I think the cities would probably be at the high end of the list anyway. But let's see. Have you seen the thing? There's not a good way to transition into this, so we're just going to jump right into it. We got 5 more minutes, and I think we can cover it in that time. Have you seen the stuff about the rail unions? And
no.
Oh, well, good. So
I haven't been on Twitter. I don't have any news now. No news.
You know, you can get news from places other than Twitter, right? Like,
yeah, but that's like really hard.
I open up my browser and it just comes straight to a news feed. Like, I have a stream of news right here in front of me just by simply opening my browser. I don't understand what your problem is. How are you having so much trouble? You're still on Facebook. I know you are.
I know, but I don't use it.
Well,
I go ask questions about goats and cheese, but that's about it.
Pretty much any social platform has news.
I know, but I don't like social platforms.
That's the 12-year-old. That's the 12-year-old coaching you on how to do. He's been suspended. He's not on right now. Gosh, dude. Now you got both the kids stirred up. Good job, Clyde. I mean, I guess he is right. Twitter is the best for news, but
yeah, unions.
All right. So what's going on with this? To just kind of take us into it real quick. The rail unions are currently striking and going on like slowdowns and stuff like that because
they need to make it harder to get fertilizers.
Well, it actually comes from the president is required to sign off on certain things with these rail unions. There's like a historic
Biden,
thing
president?
Huh?
Like Biden?
Yes, like the U.S. president has to sign off on. So the rail buses. There's a couple others that are what they're called like semi or quasi public unions. They're not true public unions like cops, teachers, like government workers, but they are in effect they're a public union in that everything kind of runs through government regulation at the end of it. Like it comes down to the president has to approve all of this stuff, and currently there's like a standstill with approvals on raising pay for the rail employees and these rail lines and stuff, and a lot of it what it comes down to is because post COVID, the rail industry has seen a huge decline in business in certain aspects, and then also it's seen an increase in freight rates because those things have to run on fuel of some sort, and fuel costs are up. Plus, people are choosing like the less expensive travel options on rail. They're not taking like the higher end rail trips and stuff. So rail traffic is way down in terms of like people and the stuff that makes a lot of money. Plus, the costs are way up with these unions because they worked all through COVID because they were, it was a what's the word? Essential. It was essential. Fuck. Now I'm struggling. You're rubbing off on me.
People.
Yeah, it was an essential industry. So they worked all through COVID. So because they did that, now they're expecting like these huge pay raises. But in order to do that and to fund that, it would mean more government money going into that in a time when we're already look, we've got to send 114 billion to Ukraine. We don't have the money to spend on local or on, our national rail system. So they're at a standstill, and what this article is talking about is like this actually is a really good article, and I'll post the link in the chat over here because it is pretty good. They talk about how like funding these public and semi quasi public unions is actually a really bad thing, and like it doesn't do anything except for harm us as a country and kind of set us back in terms of like being able to get out of the giant deficits and stuff. So but that is kind of interesting because it's gonna come to a head at some point soon where like rail lines are gonna start shutting down or at least seriously reducing.
I mean, rail is one of those things where it's kind of like I don't know the history of it in terms of when they started putting roads in, if there was I know foul play on the automotive industry's part to like not put rail in, you know what I mean? Because I think they kind of came around, but you look at Amtrak. Amtrak failed. Amtrak would be nothing without the government. The government props up Amtrak. So I'm kind of sorry, but who cares? Rail is great for transporting goods from point A to point B, but it doesn't have the distribution that it needs to have. I guess, yeah, sure. There's jobs, and you hate to see people lose jobs, but they'd be found elsewhere if rail just kind of disappeared and it was, more roads, more trucking, or alternative ways. I don't know. The rail industry kind of, I don't know.
Right. Like if the rail industry went by the wayside, then that means that those rail yards and stuff like that would be replaced with warehouses. You would have more forklift drivers. You would have more trucking operation. Like it's not like that. Transportation of goods. It's not like the demand for the transportation of goods is going to be reduced in rail completely going by the wayside. In fact, if anything, it would probably be increased, which means that all of these things are the market tends to provide. It's not like, oh God, if we have to keep supporting and throwing money at the rail system, otherwise everything shuts down. It's like, no, if that stops, then it transfers somewhere else. Like there are other ways of moving stuff. Either air freight goes up or over the road freight goes up. Like it's not like these rail lines are going anywhere that trucks and can't go. Right.
Well, and that's it. And maybe you got some in like congested areas like New York City, like the Long Island Rail, right? It goes from Long Island to the city and, drops you off there. And that might be something that's useful, but like an Amtrak that goes from, New York to Miami, like, nobody's going to take that. It takes 3 days to do it. Like, forget it. I used to live upstate in New York and go down to the city to see people. And like, I'd always look at the trains. It took 8 hours. It's not worth it. I can do it in half the time in a car. Like, yeah, I got to deal with traffic, but like that 4 hours of my time is worth it, especially when the train ticket is twice the cost of gas and mileage on my car. Like, get out of here with that crap, I don't know.
Messing around with outside of like really, really local type stuff. Like I would, when I was living north of Philly, I could jump on a train there in town and ride into Philly and do whatever I wanted all day. And it was $25 for a day pass. Like I couldn't drive my truck down to Philly and find a parking spot for the day for $25. So like it made sense in those cases, but yeah, like the big national, long ride trail stuff or long run rail traffic stuff, like none of that makes sense anymore. It's just not practical. And continuing to support it is pretty fucking retarded.
Is it? Yeah.
No, go. We'll keep going.
No, do you think it has to do with like just that sort of romanticizing the past, right? Like the rail is what colonized the West, and it's this big part of American history, and America wouldn't be what it is today without rail. So we got to keep it around, and it's just
Well, yeah, and also because the government has been so heavily invested in the rail, because it is one of those semi-public union things that our federal government has been propping it up for decades. And as everybody knows, once the government starts dumping money into something, they don't stop. They continue to find new ways to dump money into it because that's the way they operate.
Yeah. Fair enough. Unions are retarded. This is the end of it.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.